Hello learners, welcome to our virtual learning class. Today we have integrated science and we are going to talk about simple machines. Okay, we are going to talk about simple machines. Now before we continue, let's look at the objectives for today. Okay, let's look at the objectives for today's lesson. So at the end of the lesson, we should be able to explain what a simple machine is. Okay, but we should be able to explain what a simple machine is and then identify and name some what simple machine either at home or in our environment. Okay, in our environment. Good. When we are talking about simple machine is any tool that helps us to do what? To work easily and what? Faster. Simple machine. Simple machine is any tool that helps us to work easily and faster. Good. And when we talk about simple machine, we are talking about machines which are made what? Which can be made what? Easily. Okay? Which can be made easily. For example, let's look at knife. Okay? When you look at making knife and making car, you can see that making knife, you can make knife easier than what? Making a car. Okay? So at home, you can make your own knife from what? A hammer and a nail. Okay? You just use the hammer to hit the nail to become flat, then you sharpen one side, then you get your what? Your knife. Okay? So it is what? That knife is what? A simple machine. Okay? Because you are able to make it what? Easily. Good. Now let's continue to look at some examples of what? Simple machine. So simple machine help us to do what? Work easier. Okay? They help us to work easier. Now let's look at some examples. We have what? Iron rod, screwdriver, bottle opener. Then we have scissors, we have pulley, wheelbarrow, hammer, plier, shears, blade, pen, knife. Okay, we have many more. Okay, as we can name at home. We have many tools at all that help us to work out easily at home. It's a simple machine. Okay, it's a simple machine. Good. Now, as we are done with the examples of simple machine, now in our lesson we are going to talk about three types of or three examples of simple machine. We are going to talk about inclined plane, we are going to talk about pulley, and we are going to talk about what? Levers. Okay. Now let's start with what? Inclined plane. Good. We say it's what? Inclined plane is what? A straight route used for moving loose up and down. Good. Now let's look at this example. This is an example of an inclined plane. Okay, this is a bar. So when it's placed, let's say on a height like this, it becomes what? An inclined plane. Because when I want to climb this table, for example, it will be very difficult from back. When I put up, let's say for a child, it will be difficult for the child. But when you place the board on the table, on the chair like this, the child can climb it. Sorry. The child can do what? Climb it and reach the top of the chair. Okay. At the same time, when we want to lift a heavy load from the floor, you see that we can place it here. Then we push it slowly up to the top of what? Either the table or where we wanted to lift it up to. Okay. So it's an example of what? Inclined plane. Okay. And some examples. Let's look at some examples of what? Inclined plane. We have what? It's used to what? It has a surface that is higher at one end. So you can see that this is the end which is higher, and this side is the end which is lower. So we start moving the load from here up to the top there. At the same time, we can still start moving the load from the top to the down using the inclined plane, which makes it easier. Okay. Then let's look at some examples. We have slanting roads. Okay. You see slanting roads. When you are climbing a hill, when a car is coming, you see that the road is slanted. Okay. It's an example of what? Inclined plane. Then we have a path of a hillside, the same way as like the slanting road. Okay. Then we have a slide. Okay. When we go to parks and children's parks, we see that we have slides. Even in our schools too, and in our churches, you see we have the slide. You see that when you want to jump from the top of the slide to the floor, you find it very difficult. But when you sit on the slide, you'll be able to slide from the top to the floor. Okay, very good. So it's also an example of what simple machine. It's also an example of simple machine. Then we have sloping board used to lift to what? To roll heavy objects. For example, like this is the board. Okay, it's a sloping board. So when we want to lift a heavy load from, let's say from the floor into a truck, okay, into a truck, we use the sloping board. We place the board against the truck, then we push the load towards the surface of the board into the car or onto the truck. Okay, very good. So that is examples of what? Inclined plane. Even ramps on the road too, you can see that the beginning, one side is sort of flat and the top is sort of higher, and at the other side too, the top is higher and it also slants down. Okay, any slanting object or any rock placed against a higher height from the floor to the top is sort of an example of an inclined plane. And when you look at stairs, you see, when you want to climb your story building, you can't jump from the floor to the top or to the floor you want to reach. Okay, at the same time, you can't jump from the floor you are onto the ground. Okay, but we walk on stairs. You see that the step is gradually. So the stairs is also an example of what? Inclined plane. Good. Let's continue with what? A pulley. Let's continue with a pulley. Now, for example, when we talk of a pulley is what? A simple machine made up of a wheel and what? A rope or chain. A wheel, a rope, and a rope or what? Chain. Good. So, for example, when you want to lift water from your well, okay, you want to lift water from your well, you see that your parent or they tie a rope onto what? A bucket, okay? They tie a rope onto the bucket, then they throw the bucket into the well, they fetch the water. After fetching the water, they pull the water out, okay? In that process, that simple machine is called what? A pulley, okay? That simple machine is called a pulley. Now let's continue. So we say it is used to lift loads or to pull objects up, down, or what? Sideways. Okay. For example, when we go to big companies, they have what? Lifts. Okay. The lift is also an example of what? A pulley, because it's used to lift the load from the floor into the car or to a higher level. Good. So we say it is used for pulling water from the well. A pulley is used for pulling water from the well. So most of the time we use pulley to pull water from the well and also to lift loads from what? From the floor to what? A higher level. Okay. Most of the time it's used to load what? Those containers. When you go to the harbor, you see those big machines that are used to lift the containers onto the truck. Okay, they are all an example of what? Pulley. Very good. So let's look at types of pulley. We have two types of what? Pulley. We have single pulley and what? Double pulley. So in single pulley, we use what? One what? Quill. Okay. In single pulley, they use one quill to fix the pulley. But in double pulley, they use what? Double quill. Okay. Very good. They use double quill to face the pulley, and this helps us to lift load from the floor onto what? A higher height. Okay. Most of the time, for pulley is used to lift load from the floor to what? A higher height. Okay. But for inclined plane, it's used to lift the load from the floor to the higher height, and at the same time from the higher height onto the floor. Okay. Very good. So with this, I'll bring the lesson for today to an end. And I hope you go through your notes at home, and until we meet again, have a nice day. Bye.